And a lot of people say, you're pandering. You're doing this. You're doing that. How? Because I said a joke about a black guy in front of a majority white audience. Majority of my fan base is white. That's no secret. Black people, for some reason, have never liked my comedy.
What's up with y'all? What's up with y'all? Welcome back to Moxy Approved. Man, I think this joke has went way further than what it should. But what we talking about? What we talking about? David Lucas, the comedian that went viral last week for this George Floyd joke.
And you wanted to show them the reason George Floyd got his neck nailed on. It's just a joke, man. I would have never kneeled on George Floyd's neck. I would have shot that nigga. That was...
He issued a public apology to the George Floyd family. He apologized for the joke. Well, sort of.
I talked to George Floyd's brother.
When?
Sunday. Trey, you know Trey?
Yeah.
Trey the Truth?
Yeah.
I think he said he's George Floyd's brother or cousin or something. And I told him, I said, Trey, if I upset you personally, because that's your relative, I apologize. But I don't apologize for doing a joke.
I say sort of because he took down this video that he had posted up on his Instagram. Real quick, do me a favor, hit that like button and apply pressure to that subscribe button.
Hi, this is comedian David Lucas. You know me from Kill Tony and other various roast shows. I'm an edgy, push the boundary comedian, and my job as a comedian is to bring humor in dire situations. With that being said, there's a clip that is circulating around social media, and since that clip has came out, I have spoken to a lot of George Floyd's family. I spoke to Cal Wayne, Trey the Truth, Steven Jackson, and my intention was to never cause harm to his family or make them revisit a moment that happened a few years ago. I'm a father, so I get it. I understand how his kids feel. I've spoken to his whole family, and we've came, to an understanding as to how to move forward from this. And just want to apologize to his kids and everybody who was close to him.
Yeah, his white fans, they tore him up. But today, he went on the Willie D podcast in what I think was a great interview. And I wanted to take this time to further explain on some of the things that I talked about in the last video that I did on this, because I don't think I was clear enough.
I would have shot that nigga. That was...
I don't stand on that joke. I don't think the joke was funny. I thought it was kind of lazy. I mean, it seemed like he did it off the cuff. I know David Lucas, he's a funny comedian to me. I think he could have done better with that. But this is the thing, it's not my joke to stand on. That's his joke. I personally don't support jokes like that. But on the other end, I have my lane. He has his lane. Since I've been knowing him, he's been doing stuff like that, telling jokes like that. But he does tell jokes like that about all cultures.
I joke about beating on white women. I joke about killing white women. I joke about gay people. I joke about the transsexual community. So the moment I apologize for a George Floyd joke, now I gotta apologize for every other joke.
I don't think he ever did a joke like that about the Holocaust, but we're gonna get to that in a minute. But mostly all the other cultures, he tells jokes like that, right? From comedian to comedian, it's not up to you to tell people what kind of jokes that they can tell. That's his lane.
And a lot of people say, you're pandering. You're doing this, you're doing that. How? Because I said a joke about a black guy in front of a majority white audience. Majority of my fan base is white. That's no secret. Black people, for some reason, have never liked my comedy.
His lane is working out for him. He's several echelons above me as far as status as a comedian right now. I think part of the problem is people bring their emotions to comedy shows.
It was to get shock value. I'm a troll. But we want the attempt to try to be funny. That's it. That's all we're asking for. It's not that hard. When you're watching a comedian on stage, turn your emotional ears off.
This is a little bit different because it went viral online. But when you at comedy shows, you're not supposed to bring your emotions there, all right? These are just jokes. You're not supposed to take this stuff seriously, and a lot of people did because it went viral. He's not a politician. He said it himself. He's a court gesture. He's a troll. He does stuff like that to get reactions out of people, to get the oohs and the ahs.
That's you say it's called trolling.
Okay, but you said it. Like, when do I know you telling the truth, man? Like, when do I'm supposed to take you seriously?
When I hit my vape, that's when I'm telling the truth.
People are acting like they dealing with Van Jones or something like that. What I did stand on the last video that I put up about this situation, I stood on one thing that any good comedian is gonna stand on, from Paul Mooney to Patrice O'Neal, and that is freedom of speech.
That's all I'm fighting for, free speech. When I'm on that stage, I'm the court jester.
Another thing that I wanted to point out, which I did, but some people just didn't get it. I read the comments sometimes, some people just didn't get it. He's also a friend of mine. I haven't talked to him in a couple years, but I didn't have no falling out with David Lucas. I have a long list of black comedians that did me dirty for no reason. David Lucas' name is not on that list. So I could have easily came on here. Look, my base and who I am is FBA. I don't think David Lucas is FBA. I'm FBA. But this particular topic, I'm dealing with an actual friend of mine. I've been to his house where he used to stay at. I almost said where it was at. I'm not gonna say where it's at. But I've met his daughter, stuff like that. I look at this guy as a friend of mine. Now, just because your friend makes a mistake, me personally, as a human being, I'm not the type of person, the type of friend to use it as an opportunity to jump all over someone for that. I could have done that, right? But for me, that's inauthentic. For me, that would be for clicks and views. So I didn't do that. I think it was a mistake. I know him personally don't think that that was a mistake. I do. I thought that was a mistake. All right, you don't think it's a mistake. You have to deal with the consequences of that. And that's on him. He's gonna become a millionaire. I'm just gonna tell you that from this. If he already ain't getting close to that, he's gonna become a millionaire. I'm willing to put money on it that he's gonna be on Joe Rogan. The white community is gonna lift him up for that. Partially because the joke went viral and those type people like seeing us in pain. But going back to what I said, me hanging out with David Lucas, I know for a fact he's not that same person off stage. He's not.
Because, you know, you had your little YouTube rant, but then when I spoke to you on the phone, you were a totally different human being. And I'm sure I'm a totally different human being than the person that you saw on stage.
What?
He ain't never brought up nothing bad about no George Floyd in my presence or anything like that. He's not that kind of individual. Who he is on stage is not the same person who he is off stage.
I fall into the same category. I like to be seen. You see I didn't know what I was walking into today. I would have wore all my jewelry. Yeah. I didn't know what I was walking into.
But
I'm not from Houston. I'm not from Texas at all. I didn't know what I was walking. I am a nigga.
What's a nigga, man?
Come on, bro.
No, I'm serious. No, I'm serious. Like,
Another thing about it is I've been in this game over 10 years. I've heard jokes way worse than that, especially LA.
I was in LA, man. I heard plenty of racist jokes that I could have been like, man, fuck you. But what does that get me? Put out of that comedy club, an opportunity to not grow my career.
So what do you do when you hear the racist joke?
If it's good, I'm like, hey, you did that. I don't know how you pull that off, but it's good. But if it's bad, I'm like, yo, man, you could have said this, maybe take that out. You didn't have to be so blatant, you know. But I get it. It's an opportunity. It's an attempt.
I've heard jokes way worse than that. The bad part about being in this comedy career is you have a different kind of form of humor after a while. You get immune to hearing certain things. Shoot, I've gotten immune to words, period. A lot of words no longer affect me. They're just words. Go on about my business. As long as you don't get in my space or try to put your hands on me, I don't care what you say. That could be a bad thing and a good thing as far as becoming a comedian. I think in this situation, it can kind of be bad for me because that joke didn't really affect me like it affect the rest of y'all. And I understand. Y'all are not comedians. Y'all didn't have to hear these kind of jokes like that. Y'all are in shock. Man, it's some people in the LA comedy scene that's way worse than him. And I know this as a fact. I hear a lot of jokes like that on the LA comedy scene. That's how you blow up as a black person, a black comedian on the LA comedy scene. That was the main reason why I moved out of LA and moved to New York. I'm like, I had a choice to make. Neither I'm gonna start telling these jokes or start doing some offstage stuff that I don't wanna do, branch under the nose type stuff, or we gonna get the hell out of here. And I say I'm talking to all my personalities. We decided we gonna get the hell out of LA. And that's what I did. as a comedian, one of our rights is to stand on freedom of speech. Because this is gonna go further, y'all. What's gonna happen is they're gonna start doing stuff to say, well, you can't talk about this individual. You can't talk about transgender. You can't talk about fat people. And it's like, well, why? Why are y'all being so sensitive to this? Well, you remember what happened to David Lucas. We need to start doing that with everybody.
Yeah, I'm there to dictate your emotions. I'm a dictator at that point. That's all we're fighting for is free speech. That's all we want. All us comedians, that's all we want. We want the opportunity to try to be funny. Whether it's funny or not is left up to the reception of the audience.
So that's why I stand on freedom of speech. Once again, I don't condone the joke. He gonna pay consequences for that. But I think he has the right to express his creativity.
I'm 2 years in headlining.
But I was brilliant.
My best form will be comedy and rap are totally different. Yeah. My best form is yet to come.
Let me tell y'all something behind the scenes that y'all don't know about my page. You know that Paul Mooney, a lot of y'all subscribed to me off the Paul Mooney video that I did. Do you know that they tried to pull that down? I got an email from them. They was gonna pull it down. I talked to the support and they decided to demonetize it. You know why? Because certain people complained. I'm not a hypocrite. This thing, you can't have it one way. It goes both ways. If you're gonna talk this kind of stuff, then you have to allow people to say counter to that. I would be a hypocrite fighting these people taking my Paul Mooney down. I didn't even say anything on the Paul Mooney stuff. They don't like the stuff that Paul Mooney was saying. So they wanted to take the video down and just decided to demonetize it. So I don't get nothing from that video anymore. And it is what it is. We keep pushing over here. But that's what freedom of speech is, folks. One part of this interview that I thought was dope is that he got challenged to do a Holocaust joke.
I think if you tell a Holocaust joke, your career gonna take a different trajectory.
Well, I mean, don't challenge me, bro. Because I'm always up for a fucking challenge,
I think
man.
if you tell a Holocaust joke, it's gonna be different.
Can I come back on when I do?
Sure can.
Okay.
Now, me personally, I don't think he's gonna do it. I don't. But he says it's gonna be a challenge. So we're gonna watch and see if he does this in the future. Now, going back to freedom of speech, a lot of y'all still may disagree with the whole freedom of speech stance. But listen to one of the only parts in this video where he got Willie D.
Betrayed. I was catering to people who had been betrayed.
So what happened to the people that were offended by what you were saying? Do you care about them or are you gonna keep doing you?
Good point. You got me there. You got me.
Now, it's an interesting question that I want to bring up. Do I think that this joke as a community sets us back? Unfortunately, I'm gonna say yes. You know, I'm gonna be authentic. I'm gonna be me. Me on a personal level, I think that joke does set us back. One of the main reasons I think it set us back is because it went viral. If it didn't go viral, it'd just be another bad joke about George Floyd, because they out there. Be another bad joke about George Floyd, and then we move on. But because it went viral, it sets us back. And the main part that I think is gonna set us back is y'all don't know. There's a lot, black comedians period, they're willing to do anything to be where David Lucas is at. As sick as it sounds, there's a lot of black comedians jealous of how he's blowing up off of this joke. They're gonna try to one up him. You see, I think that's the most horriblest part of all of this. So yeah, I'm not gonna debate you on that. I think this joke does set us back to a degree.
So call me stupid, but don't call me a coon. Don't call me a sellout. Don't say I should be canceled. Just call me stupid. I'll take that. I'm stupid.
David, you're stupid, man.
This guy's a friend of mine. I put him in a short film of mine. I didn't have no falling out with him. I haven't talked to him in a couple years, but I'm the kind of person that even if I don't talk to you in a couple years, we ain't had no falling out, you still a friend of mine. I hope and I wish the best for him. I'm not an enemy against him. I am a proponent of freedom of speech. That's pretty much no different than what Willie D said right here.
As I said, man, earlier, man, comedy is subjective. Just as, you know, rappers or anybody, you know, who exercises freedom of speech and counts on that being enforced, comedians have a right to say what they want to say.
Thank you, sir.
And
that's all I ask.
They also have a right to deal with the consequences.
Yeah. And that's the part that I want to add to this. I think comedians have a right to go on the stage and have an attempt at being funny. But if it doesn't go right, you got to pay them consequences. I don't want people to think that I think these type of jokes are cool. I don't. But I'm a proponent of comedy and I'm a proponent of freedom of speech. And I think that we should have the right to go on there and say what we want to say and just pay the consequences. If I was against it, then I will also have to be in agreement of them people trying to take down my Paul Mooney jokes. If you're gonna be for freedom of speech, you have to be from freedom of speech. If you don't like what he said and you don't want to support him, what am I gonna tell you? I'm gonna tell you, no, you need to support him. No, I'm not gonna tell you. You also have the right to support who you want to support.
Anybody that's ever been wronged or feel like they've been wronged, you have a right to complain, but after you complain, you do something about it.
And I would say if you don't like those kind of jokes, then don't go to those type of shows. But don't try to silence somebody, because a lot of times when you try to silence someone in the society we live, especially on that side with the white folks, they end up just being uplifted. But let me know how you feel about this in the comment section. Well, anyways, you know how we like to end our videos over here at Moxy Approved, right? With that water. I see y'all here next time on Moxy Approved. George Floyd, what?